Hey, we missed you. Welcome back. Our guest this week, Seattle University professor and professional violinist, Dr. Quinton Morris. We've got a very special show for you folks. Let's go. It is July 1st, and I'm your host, Kevin-mcmanus, the joyous journeyman of the creative process, the lucky lad with a microphone and a dream. This week it is the mind of Dr. Quinton Morris that we will explore. He is a professional violinist, has performed everywhere around the world. He is a professor of violin and chamber music studies at Seattle University, the co-chair of the Seattle Arts Commission, and he is the executive director and founder of Key to Change, a nonprofit in South King County. We will get to that in a bit, but first, our new segment. Arts News. On July 6th, the Louvre in Paris, the largest art museum in the world, will reopen for the first time in almost 4 months. Reserved times, mandatory mask wearing, and guided one-way movement through the halls will make for a very unique experience for museum goers. About 70% of the space will be accessible, but have no fear, art lover, the greatest hits will be viewable. As a matter of fact, only 2 patrons at a time will be allowed in to visit with the most popular piece in the museum, the Mona Lisa. Imagine having your own, intimate, unobstructed 15-minute date with arguably the world's most famous piece of art. And did you know that before this week, you could buy some of the world's most valuable historical relics on Facebook? I didn't either. On June 24th, the questionable social media company banned the questionable trade of illicit antiquities on their platform. Ancient coins, manuscripts, mosaics, scrolls, and tombstones were included in the ban. COVID-19 has claimed the life of another worthy arts organization. The Palace Theater and Art Bar in Georgetown, Seattle, announced its permanent closure this week. Venue operator Sylvia Ostay-Formore said in an interview with The Stranger, COVID hit and everything came to a screaming halt. Everybody got hit with a tidal wave. They hope to return in the future, but for now, the world will be deprived of their beautiful art. And we think that sucks. Yet another reason to give all you can to your local creative cultural companies and arts organizations. And finally, the Seattle Public Library is hosting an event you absolutely should not miss. Love in the Time of COVID is a free virtual event that will feature some of the greatest talent from the area, including DJ Nia, Makeda Abube, Josephine Howell, and so many more. The Facebook event page explains, this virtual community event highlights BIPOC solidarity and mutual aid. If Indigenous sovereignty, Black love, immigrant rights, educational justice, and food justice is your jam, this all-ages event is for you. Come celebrate elders, our 2020 graduates, and our city's vibrant mutual aid and community organizing efforts. Use the hashtag #SeattleTogether to share issues that are important to you and to give a shout-out to people who are showing our city love as we get through these changing times together. Make sure you don't miss that. Virtual doors open at 5:30 p.m. on Thursday, July 9th. The event will run from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Don't miss it at spl.org. Didn't hear the story you wanted to hear? Go ahead and visit averyspecialshow.com to submit your arts news tips. We're here with Seattle University Associate Professor of Music in Violin and Chamber Music, Executive Director of the nonprofit arts organization Key to Change, Co-Chair of the Seattle Arts Commission, and all-around talented performer, Dr. Quinton Morris. We will be calling him Quinton from now on, though. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great. It's interesting because I moved to Seattle this week, and of course all the upheaval and all the things that are going on. It's, an interesting time to move to Capitol Hill. But I'd love.
You moved to Capitol Hill. Wow.
I did. I'm right near Carnegie-hall, the
Okay.
Cornish. Yeah, I'm right down here. So I'm a bit away from the Chop, which is kind of going through a change today. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on that if you were wanting to share later on. But first of all, I've got a few questions for you, and let's go ahead and tuck into those. You are an educator, a performer, a community art organizer. You are the co-chair of the Arts Commission. You do so many things. You travel the world performing. How do you have enough time for all of that, first of all? And can you tell us the one key thing a person needs to have a successful professional artistic career?
Those are great questions. I think the first part of your question of how do I do it all, to be honest with you, I say no a lot.
Right.
I say no. And I think that, saying no is really important. Because no doesn't mean never. It just means not right now. And I think that for artists and creatives or just people in general, when you're attempting to do something, you have to really look at things of like, what is your mission and what is it that you're trying to accomplish? I think during my 20s and probably some during my 30s, I spent a lot of time running around doing a lot of unnecessary busy work that really wasn't that productive. And I thought, just because I'm busy, that means that I've got a lot of stuff going on. But it wasn't actually helping me, in a sense, move the ball forward down the field. It was just me basically tossing the ball in the air or tossing many balls in the air. And so as I've gotten older, and a bit more wiser, I've now learned how to say, that just doesn't fit within my own personal mission right now. Or let's revisit that in a year, and maybe then I'll have the time. So I think saying no is really important. And then the second part, and you asked me, what did you ask me?
What is the one key thing a person needs to have to be a professional artist, essentially?
Another great question. The one key thing, I would say patience. While you're talking about these things, I've done a lot of things and I've been very successful, but I guarantee you I've had probably triple the amount of rejections and disappointments and failures than I have wins. I have lost more than I've won. I think being patient is key. And not just patient, but I'll add a second part to that too, if I may, which is really knowing who you are. Knowing who you are and knowing what you stand for. Like, having that personal mission is really important. And understanding what it is that you want to accomplish, the impact that you want to have on others is really important. Because when you know who you are, and you know what it is that you want to accomplish, then it does make it a bit easier to be patient. It makes it much easier to understand that there is no such thing as an overnight success, that there is going to be a lot of battles that you're going to have to fight. Some of them you're not going to want to fight, but having the patience and the perseverance to endure it and to keep going forward, that helps you knowing who you are.
That kind of bleeds perfectly into my second question, and you keep bringing back around to having a mission. You do have a mission, as outlined on your website. It's to inspire creativity and self-discovery across communities through live performances, education, and cross-cultural conversations, and to activate individuals to pursue their own paths to success. There are some common themes in that statement, specifically self-discovery and pursuing your own path to success. I've heard you kind of come back around to understanding and self-realization and independent empowerment. Where did you get this from? Was there a person in your past, a Dr. Quinton Morris, whom you can point to and say, they taught me this?
I would say my mom. My mom was always someone who really encouraged me, inspired me, and really believed in me and taught me how to believe in myself as a child. So I would definitely say my mom really taught me the belief of knowing one's worth. But it came from my mother, definitely. And I've had other people too. I've had other mentors, other friends who have inspired me. I've always been kind of different, a little different from everybody else. I had a very unconventional childhood. I was, in a lot of circles, always the only black kid, didn't fit in with a lot of people. I was kind of soft as a kid. I grew up in the 80s, right? So boys were supposed to be tough. I wasn't. I was kind of soft. So I was always very different, but also one who kind of spoke his mind too. If I didn't like something or if I didn't want to go along with it, then I wasn't going to do that. I think in college and graduate school, I knew pretty quickly that I didn't want to do what everybody else was doing. I felt like I could always do things better than how things were created. I think that's the entrepreneur in me. I was like, I think there's a better way to do that. Or like I remember in undergrad, we used to have 9 hours a week of orchestra, 3 to 6 p.m., Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I hated it. I absolutely hated it. And I knew in undergrad, this is not what I want to do. This isn't. I hated orchestra. I really loved chamber music because you could play with whoever you wanted to play with. You could make your own groups. You could select your own repertoire. And you could work with a coach that you liked. You weren't stuck with the same conductor. There was a lot of music in orchestra that I absolutely hated playing. And oh, God, I got to play this again. That wasn't fun. I knew pretty quickly that there's no career for me in orchestra, but there was something in chamber music, which I wound up having a very successful chamber music career and discovered solo work too, which I enjoyed playing. So I think for me, it kind of goes back to your first question of just kind of knowing who you are. And when you know who you are, then it allows you also to stand by your own beliefs, even when everybody else thinks you're nuts. And God knows, I had a lot of people, especially in my 20s and 30s, tell me I was nuts.
Another one of the themes that I see on your website is that there's this kind of push to say, you can make money doing this. You don't have to. I believe one of the things you say is you have to dig a grave and bury the starving artist mentality today. And that was in your June of 2013. You did a TEDx talk, and you say that.
Yeah.
And I just think that that's a brilliant thing to hold in your mind as an artist. We're told constantly that the arts are not a way of making a living. And I think we have to retrain our thinking, because I think arts are important and that they are valuable. They are tourist dollars. There's a lot to it. As an educator, how do you inspire people to continue to press on and find those professional creative opportunities?
Well, I think that students have to come with a certain skill set. I mean, here's the real truth. Motivation, inspiration, it's like, in a way, kind of like a drug. It wears off after a while. Not only does it wear off, it gets dusty and it gets dirty. And eventually, you've got to develop the discipline to clean it again. And so I think, in my opinion, the ultimate self-care is discipline. It's having the discipline to continue to do the hard, ugly grunt work when you don't feel like it. And that is something that I try to instill in all of my students, is to do the grunt work, because we all want the prize. You're not going to get the prize unless you get down and you get dirty. And that requires sacrifice, a lot of perseverance and patience, and understanding who you are, and then also making some smart decisions and asking yourself, like, what's the next right move? What is the right move for me? And taking a calculated risk. And I think that's where a lot of people, they're not successful because they're not willing to take those risks. They're not willing to really get down in the weeds and get dirty and understand that you're going to get knocked down a whole lot, but you've got to get back up and you've got to keep moving forward.
Right. Like you said earlier, it's like a third of you only really capture a third of those that you put yourself out for. I actually had a mentor that said about the same thing. I was putting myself out there as an actor, and she said, you're going to go on 30 auditions, and you're going to get 15 callbacks, and you're going to get 7 rolls, and you're going to have to feel good about that, and you're going to have to go back and do 30 more to get 5 rolls and 30 more to get 1 roll. You have to keep coming back around to it.
That's absolutely right. And I'll tell you, I remember in 2016, my first film, Breakthrough. Well, actually, I released it in 2015, 2015, it premiered. In 2016, it went around the world. Well, I can't tell you, during that year of me doing a world tour, I stopped counting the amount of rejections that I got after 30. Venues to perform at, venues to premiere my film, places. There were several competitions that I was in that I lost. I stopped counting after 30. But you know what? In the same breath, in 2016, I premiered at the Louvre Museum.
Wow.
I did a recital, a film premiere at the Louvre. And just a year before that, the Louvre Museum let me shoot my film in their museum. My wins are really big wins, which made up for like those 30 rejections that I got.
Right.
Oh, plus 30. I got the very last day of my world tour, I did a performance, and I had a chance to teach at the Sydney Opera House for the U.S. consulate. So it's like you keep going. That was after a lot of rejection, you know? And I can think of numerous times where I've been in situations where I felt like, okay, this is it. I'm done. I'm not going to make it anymore. Or my heart can't take another rejection.
Right.
And then it's like I give myself that space to kind of grieve what I feel like I've lost in that moment. And then I kind of get back on the saddle, or at least I used to. Now what I do, because I'm a little bit older, I look at that and I say, okay, well, that just wasn't for me right now. Or there's something else better that's coming along. When you're in the midst of it, at least when I was a little bit younger, I would think, oh my God, it's never going to happen. I did a competition some years ago in Italy, and grand prize was a performance at Carnegie-Hall.
Wow.
Well, I always wanted to play at Carnegie-Hall, always wanted to, and it never happened. And I got to Italy, I did this competition. The competition, I didn't win. I was furious because I'd spent a lot of money to go and do this competition, meet thousands of dollars preparing for it, and I lost. And I thought my world was over. And then one day, I get a call, and at the time, this guy who was managing me out of New York called me and said, hey, there's an opportunity for you to do a recital at Carnegie-Hall.
Wow.
Well, that happened 1 year later, and the recital sold out. And guess what? Not only did the recital sell out, but I wound up going back 2 more times. So I wound up getting 3 sold-out recitals at Carnegie-Hall.
Wow.
Now, could I have predicted that a year before my first debut recital at Carnegie-Hall? Not even a chance. Not even a chance, because if you would have talked to Quinton Morris in Italy in 2010, when I was at the competition and I was devastated that I lost, I would have told you I'll never play at Carnegie-Hall.
It'll never happen. Right.
Yeah, right? But I didn't even recognize that it wasn't even just that wasn't for me, but there was something so much bigger and so much better that was coming for me, that was waiting for me. And I had to go through that experience first in order to get it.
You got so much passion, clearly, for just the music itself, but then, of course, I like when I hear that an artist and a and a community leader has passion for getting it done as well. And what I mean by getting it done is realizing that we have tools here to change the world. Going back to your TEDx talk here in Seattle in 2013, you said, "Do you remember the last time you loved to create?" As young artists, we are full of great artistic creative ideas that are so profound that the concepts alone can change the world. We create a world of fantasy and vision for the common man. And I just think that that is a drive that is worth going for. You're changing the world, and you're using your wares and your means to make money and do what you need to do. And on that front, you founded a nonprofit organization called The Key to Change. You used your success to change the community that you come from, the mission of which is to inspire underserved youth through world-class music instruction and supporting their development as self-aware leaders. Your personal statement on the organization's website continues to emphasize your personal drive for self-actualization and strengthening the individuals in a community so you can strengthen the community at large. What would you like for us to know about The Key to Change, the organization that you started that seems to continue to emphasize what you're saying about go for it, make it happen, and change your community in these positive ways using your art and being successful? What would you like for us to know?
I'll say that Key to Change is an organization that is very near and dear to my heart. It's near and dear to my heart because the students that we serve, which are all from the South King County area of Seattle, that's the area that I grew up in. And there's not many resources or opportunities for those students in that area to receive lessons or just music instruction in general. And so it's really wonderful for me to have that opportunity to be able to provide that for those students. And I would say that Key to Change was created out of my inspiration from my world tour. That organization would not have existed if I didn't do the world tour. So again, it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, which is you got to know who you are, and you've got to also understand what your mission is. My mission in 2015 through 2017 was to do that world tour and to go around the world and meet students and be inspired by them so much doing that world tour that it inspired me to start this organization, because I thought I'll never forget it as long as I live. I was on the plane coming back home from China. I had such a great time there, and also in Taiwan, that I thought, what can I give back to my community, all of what I've learned from this tour? And I was scribbling down notes on a little napkin, a little piece of paper, and just writing notes. And I thought I should start a violin studio where kids can come and receive a high level of music instruction for very little to no cost. And so that's how Key to Change was born. That wouldn't have happened if I didn't do that world tour, if I would have given up on and just quit when I had rejections and I had adversity. Right. So understanding how everything is so connected, we're so connected to our spirits and our internal beings, and all of that helps lead us to the next thing. Key to Change is an organization that provides these lessons for students and gives them the leadership skills as well as the musical skills so that they can go on and be great leaders in our country. And it's an organization that the kids who are within it, they're able to foster and nurture their music education, which also stems into other parts of their lives, which helps empower them to be great people.
We'll be right back with Quinton Morris after this.
Do you own or manage a local business? Are you looking for affordable access to a large, diverse customer base? Advertise your products and services here on a very special show. We provide a variety of opportunities for small local businesses to speak directly to our ever-growing audience of engaged, discerning listeners. We never take a one-size, one-price-fits-all approach. We tailor your marketing experience to suit your needs. Interested in knowing more? Visit averyspecialshow.com and use the contact form to tell us what you are looking for. We've got episodes going live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Keep loving, keep creating.
Rebecca, have you seen this new edition of Oli Arts?
No, what's in there?
Oh man, this is the South Puget Sound's premier multi-platform arts publication. This thing is packed with info about performances, music, visual arts, and other cultural events happening right down the street. They've got bi-monthly print editions, daily online content, occasional podcasts, and enhanced mobile experiences. Oli Arts is the guide to local arts and culture.
Why does it feel like we're in an ad again?
Because we absolutely are.
Oh boy.
Visit oliarts.org. That's OLYARTS.org. That's right. How did you know?
I'm the ad girl.
I love you, ad girl.
Now give me that Oli Arts magazine. I want to read about the new gallery opening.
Now back to a very special show. There is no applause loud enough I could give to people who do this for youth. I grew up in a very small community in South Puget Sound, and if it wasn't for the arts organization in that community that was started by a benevolent artist and loving creator, I would be I don't want to say a lesser human being, but I want to say that I would be stuck in a loop of pity and sorrow for myself, because it really was the thing that brought me out of my funk of living in that smaller community and not having those connections. So I have to tell you that I not just respect. I mean, I can't say how much it means to me personally, and I hope that everybody out there realizes how important these arts programs are. Stop cutting the funding for them. Start funding them greater. Smaller communities, stop funding your football teams 10 times more than the arts program. We matter too, and organizations like Key to Change matter. Go to their website, give to Key to Change. It's very important. Now back to Quinton. You have performed all over the world, as you said. You've made a living with your instruments. You are a success. What is going to keep you passionate, keep you moving on, and what is next for you?
Well, I'll say first that I look at success as it's not an arrival point. It's not a destination. It's a journey. It's something that I strive towards every day. I think the first thing is that success is what you define as. And for me, success has evolved and it's changed over the years. Success for me right now is happiness. What makes me happy? What makes me continue to have passion? What inspires me and brings life into who I am as a person? That for me is success at this point in my life. And I think that the more that we as individuals continue to define success on our own terms and not on the terms of what other people believe it should be for us, we're going to have a much better and happier and healthier world.
I love it. That's fantastic. And it's hard for me when I've taught acting classes to express that the proper way, but I like the idea of success as a journey and not looking at creativity as a goal, but looking at creativity as an ongoing, continuous thing that we engage with, and it changes and it morphs us and we change and morph it, and I love that. So there are 2 questions that I always ask everyone. They are purposefully designed to be both very general, very broad, and also pretty specific. I'm not going to give you any prompts other than just to ask you the question. Whatever the first thing that pops into your head, go ahead and give us those answers. What do you struggle with? What
do I struggle with?
Yes.
Getting enough sleep.
Well, you do so much. I can totally believe that. You have to get up early to get over to the school, I'm sure. In normal times, you probably have your morning routine, but you also spend your evenings.
I do.
Yeah.
I'm a little crazy, though. Sometimes, because I'm also in school right now, too. I've been in school for the last year doing an executive certificate program at Harvard Business School. So I've done a lot of late nights and a lot of early mornings. So I'm a little nuts in that part.
the second question is, what is important to you? And I know that we've kind of brushed past a lot of different things that are important to you. But when I say those words, what is the first thing that comes in your mind? What is important to you?
I think first thing that's important to me is my own personal happiness. My personal happiness, my journey, my spiritual journey, all that is very important to me. My family is really important to me, my parents especially. I have a close relationship with both of them. I'm very thankful for that. That's important to me. I think fulfilling my personal mission of who I am as an individual, being the best version of myself, the highest version of myself, is really important to me. Serving people in the community, serving students especially those who don't have the means, whether it's resources, to fulfill the highest level of themselves. I feel like my job is to serve them and to help them. That is very important to me. Serving students, serving the community, it's really important to me. And then I would say finally what's important to me is staying true and authentic to who I am. I think as artists, it's somewhat of a culture for us. We perform because we want to get the job. We want to be liked, right?
Right.
And at least in my training, I did 9 years of conservatory training, and at times it was very brutal. And you develop through the culture this need to want to be liked and to be accepted. And I think for years I lived in that shadow, wanting to be accepted and wanting to be a part of the club. And that I think forced me to develop a sense of insecurity, deep insecurity within myself. It took many, many years to undo. And so I think now I'm at a point where I live within my own truth, and I live for what I believe is authentic and real for myself, not necessarily to try to please or appease other people, whether they're my former classmates or former mentors or teachers or colleagues, or I have to do this for me because we only have one life to live. And the more we can embrace who we are as individuals, especially as artists and creatives, I think the more prosperous and the more beautiful our world will be. I think artists, especially young artists who get caught up in trying to be somebody they're not, or trying to emulate their mentors or teachers, are really missing out on being who they should and can be. And so I think that is what is most important to me at this point, is really fulfilling that for myself.
Yeah, there's got to be a wall at some point where you define who you are and you don't let the community define you. And I love that, and holding firm on where your boundaries are as an individual and what you're going to achieve and what you're willing to allow. And I think that sometimes we get into a pattern of trying to get out of each other's way a little bit and trying to be peaceful, loving, achieving goals together. But also, you can define who you are and how you're going to create and who you're going to be. And Quinton Morris just told us who he was. Quinton, this is the little piece at the end here is all yours. If there's anything else you want to talk about, anything that you want to emphasize about yourself or about the community for our audience, this is your time. Go ahead.
We're living in a very tumultuous time right now where the lives of Black people especially are being threatened. It's illegal to be Black in America. It always has been, and now we are seeing that at the forefront. Racism has not necessarily, it hasn't disappeared, though I think some people think it has. It hasn't. It's just being filmed. And I'm not going to take up all this time to, as a sounding board to talk about why Black Lives Matter. But I will say that I think that we are living in a very crucial time where we all need to do a lot more listening. We all need to do a lot more observing and not be so reactionary to things that we may not always agree with, especially when it comes to the lives of Black people. I would say that this is a time for us as a people, especially those who are not Black or of African American descent, to now speak up and speak up about the injustices against Black people, against people of color, against marginalized communities. Now is the time for that, to develop a courage, because by not speaking up and not speaking out against the injustices that happen to those types of people, you are only enabling those injustices to continue. And that is something that I will continue to speak out about. It is something that I feel very strongly about, and encourage my students, and I encourage community members, and even all of those people who are listening to this, to really think about why it's important that we as a people fight against the injustices in this country. This is not a Black versus white or a Black versus everyone. It's everybody versus the racists. That's what this is. It's speaking out against racism once and for all.
That is Dr. Quinton Morris. QuintonMorris.com. QuintonMorris.com. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit of your precious free time.
And actually, can I just make a little plug? The website to go to is actually key2changestudio.org.
That is the nonprofit organization that our guest, Quinton Morris, runs. Please go and visit that website and make sure to keep supporting these organizations. And I cannot thank you enough, Quinton.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on your show.
Absolutely.
It's great.
Bye-bye now.
Take care.
Object, Subject, a new segment to close out each episode. I'm going to give you some objective facts and then share my subjective thoughts. Objective fact number 1. Masks work in preventing the spread of diseases and viruses. That is a fact. The World Health Organization unfortunately confused things by saying early on that it wouldn't help in the prevention of the spread of this particular pandemic. Who knows why they said that? It is not accurate. Masks work. That is a scientific fact. Droplet exchange. Read about it. Go find those facts out for yourself. Here's the subjective part. Even if you have a belief, even if you are tucked into your corner, your narrative of freedom matters, if you spread a disease to a family who would otherwise have prevented that disease from entering their home, what rights do they have? Where are their rights to freedom and security in their own home? You gotta consider how other people feel and what impact you are making on other people's lives. Having freedom doesn't just mean that you get to abuse that freedom. You should use that freedom to create connections between people and to respect the rights and freedoms of other people. And so, dear friends, what is the moral of the story? Protect each other, love each other, and wear a mask whether you're shopping for Cheetos or chard. That's it for this edition of Object Subject, and that is it for this episode of a very special show. Thanks again to our guest, Dr. Quinton Morris. And as always, keep loving and keep creating. Thanks for listening to the show. Visit averyspecialshow.com for more information about the podcast. You can support the show by visiting anchor.fm/averyspecialshow. Click the support button. Any amount helps. We really appreciate it. And of course, click subscribe, follow, or like wherever you get your podcasts.